if I was stupid or not. But at that time, I just didn't want to commit myself to doing anything that I would maybe regret, you know?
Yeah.
I remember being offered when I worked in the body shop as a stock manager there. The owner of that franchise also owned 2 or 3 other shops in that shopping center. One was a Star Wars paraphernalia shop, and the other one was a Levi store. And he offered me to be the stock manager for all 3, full-time contract, et cetera, great money and all that. I said yes. And the day before I had to sign my contract, I never went back. I didn't even tell them I was going back. I can't remember the guy's name, but I truly apologize for that. He must have been up the creek, having no stock person for any of his shops. Oh my God, poor guy. I truly apologize for that. I shouldn't have done it. And maybe what I should have done is maybe I should have stuck with it. I should have signed my contract, earned a little bit more money. Who knows where I'd be now? But I didn't do it.
Well, I mean, maybe you wouldn't have been here, Or
I wouldn't, for sure.
Everything happens for a reason, and you also learn from your mistakes, I guess. Mm-hmm. Even though maybe at that time you didn't see it as a mistake, but...
No, I don't think. Looking back in retrospect, I don't think...
You learn from your life experiences, I should say.
Yeah. I learned a lot about myself during those 3 years, 4 years.
So how did you know it was time to move back to Spain? What were the reasons, and what was kind of going through your mind at that time?
Well, it was pretty clear to me that the UK for me had run its course. The very main reason was, as I told you, I had slowly fallen into this mental abyss of thought. What's going to be what's happening to my life? What does it all mean? Becoming a musician, being an artist versus the corruption of everyday life, that kind of thing. I was growing up as well. When I got there, I was 21. By this time, I was almost 25. I was starting to see clearly that I needed a future, but I wasn't any closer to trying to find that future for myself. Mm-hmm. And it was also very clear that life in the UK wasn't gonna make it for me. Right? There was much more opportunity than in Spain, but I didn't feel any of the avenues that I touched. I didn't feel that any of them were the way I should be going. Right? At the same time, because of all that, I was still reticent to commit to any kind of lifelong work commitment or anything like that, right? So I was still turning down promotions. I was still being told. By that time, I was living in Nottingham, and I was working only in nightclubs, and I was being told that I should be promoted and become a manager or a supervisor, this and that. And we had to wear suits in those positions. I did not want to wear a suit, that kind of thing, Yeah. I was still pretty naive in that kind of thing, and also I didn't see myself working for the next 30 years in nightclubs. So all that was bringing me down. I was starting to get to know myself personally quite a bit better, but it was starting. My own thoughts were starting to bring me down. They were dark. Mm-hmm. They were dark. There was dismal. There was nothing bright about them, and that also had a lot to do with the weather. In Nottingham, it's very, very cold. It's not, it's always rainy. It was always dark. It was always somber. That reflects heavily on the people as well. If you're there, and if you're from the UK, and especially if you're from the North or the Midlands, you don't realize, because that's all you know. And they're great people, don't get me wrong. I mean, I had great friends over there, great people. But they didn't have that Mediterranean attitude. They didn't have that outwards and like. And as much as I wanted to leave when I got to the UK, by the time I left, I was dying to be surrounded by the Spanish temperament, and I needed that sort of, I needed that around me to lift me out of my deep, somber funk that I was in my own mind. Okay. And so the last year or so, I just dedicated it to saving up my money to bring my stuff back and to get a plane and come back. I asked my parents for asylum, and I came back to Spain.
Okay, so it was kind of out of necessity, of personal necessity, not
It was very
work or anything
personal.
like that.
Yes. If I had stayed
Okay.
in the UK, I would have gone into very, 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 very dark places, and I didn't want to do that.